panel, or the
You're
loser
getting
lock,
them
as we
now.
like to call it.
Okay. All right. So I'm not going to read the arrest report word for word, but I think that going through some of the witness statements would be a good idea. So let me pull them up here. Let me get my readers on.
Also, if you would like to follow along, I'm bringing.
Do what? What'd you say?
But if they want to follow along, I'm bringing up the links on our stream.
Oh, yes. Okay. Yeah. And you see them in the purple pill?
Yes.
Hard for me to get to.
Okay.
I'll get there.
All right. Initial and narrative. I'm going to go ahead and read this part. On 4/2/2025 at 10:01 hours, I, Staley School Resource Officer E. Cortez, heard over the radio dispatch call out a stabbing call at David Kirkendall Stadium. FPD call notes indicated that an athlete was stabbed. The suspect was reported as being a black male wearing a gray hoodie and blue sweatpants. I immediately left my office and ran across the Staley Middle School parking lot towards the southwest entrance into the stadium. As I entered the stadium, 2 high school age students informed me that the victim was on the north end of the stadium by the bleachers under Memorial High School tent. I did not identify these students. Next, I proceeded towards the north end of the stadium, visitors' side, on foot. As I got closer to the north end, I could see the Memorial High School tent with multiple individuals under the tent. Once I arrived onto the north side bleachers, an adult male who was on the track pointed out the suspect. I was not able to identify that witness. The individual that was pointed out to me was a black male wearing a gray hooded sweater and dark-colored Nike pants. The suspect at this point was on the track at the north end. There was a chain link fence that separated me from the suspect. I gave the suspect instructions to keep his hands up in the air. During that time, the suspect said verbally out loud, "I was protecting myself." It should be noted I had not questioned him about the incident when he made that comment. I asked him if he had any weapons, and he said no. I patted him down for weapons while we were walking along the fence, and I did not locate any on his person. I instructed the male to continue walking along the fence, which he complied, towards an area where there was an opening in the fence that led off the track. While walking him off the track, the suspect also said he put his hands on me. I want you to really pay attention to the fact that he said he put his hands on me, not they or them. He said he. I then detained the suspect in handcuffs, handcuffed behind his back, and had him sit on the ground. Officer A. Ritchie had arrived on scene at that time. I conducted another pat-down of this person and then searched his person after he gave me consent. No weapons were located. While the suspect sat on the ground, I advised that I had the alleged suspect. The suspect then responds and says, "I'm not alleged, I did it." Next, Officer Ritchie and I walked the suspect to patrol vehicle 2412. This is Officer A. Ritchie's patrol vehicle, which was on the northeast gate of Kirkendall Stadium. As we were walking to the squad car, the suspect was emotional and said, "He put his hands on me. I told him not to." I did not question the suspect about the incident while he was escorted to the patrol vehicle. I searched his person once again, and I had him sit in the back seat area, driver's side of the patrol vehicle. While the suspect was in the back seat, I noticed fresh blood on his left middle finger. I verbally acknowledged that I saw the blood out loud so it would be captured on my body-worn camera. It should also be noted that the suspect asked me, "Is he going to be okay?" while he was in the back seat. I then identified the suspect. He provided his name and date of birth verbally as Kamelo Anthony, with a date of birth of redacted, which I ran through dispatch. Officer J. Hancock arrived on scene and remained with me and the suspect at this point. Kamelo was then checked via eSchool database, which is the database for Frisco ISD students, to confirm his identity. The identity information he provided matched the individual I had in custody. Next, I was advised by Sergeant Holland to transport the subject to Frisco PD jail. Officer Hancock and I transported him to FPD jail. Again, I did not question Kamelo about the incident. Upon arriving at the Frisco jail, Kamelo was escorted in the intake area. FPD jail staff changed him out into jail attire. I remained with the jail staff the entire time that he was changed over. The clothes that Kamelo was wearing was placed in an FPD paper evidence bag. The clothes remained in my possession the clothes remained in my possession from this point on. Upon Kamelo being placed into a jail cell, I continued to keep possession of his clothes. I returned to my patrol along with Officer Hancock, which was in the FPD Sally Port, and placed Carmelo's clothes in the back trunk area. I drove patrol vehicle 2412 out of the Sally Port and parked the squad car in the FPD patrol parking area. Carmelo's clothes remained in the trunk area of vehicle. Let's see. This is just, I'm trying to get to the most important things here, like the witness statements. One moment. Okay. Give me just a sec. Was assigned to work, blah, blah, blah. Released a victim. Let me go to page, basically in another statement, an officer basically corroborated the story that he said, I'm not alleged, I did it. I'm trying to get through it because it's long and we have a lot to cover. So on page 3, on Wednesday, April 2nd, 2025, at around 10:01 hours, Frisco Police Department officers were dispatched to Frisco Independent School District. Let me skip down. Frisco Police Department Emergency Communications were receiving an emergency call regarding an athlete that was stabbed. The originally unknown assailant was a black male wearing a gray hoodie and blue sweatpants, and also a goatee and short hair. The subject was possibly wearing Centennial High School attire, as it was believed he was a student there for the sporting event. This had all taken place on the visitor side of the stadium, and the victim was under the Memorial High School tent in the bleachers. At around this time, school resource officer Cortez arrived on scene and began assisting the victim, trainers, and the other parties. Officer Cortez also advised on the radio that he also had the suspect. I'm trying to find the witness statements at this point. And then if we have more questions about this later on, we can ask more questions. Let me go to page 4. Okay, on page 4 at the top, Anthony was from Centennial High School and was sitting under the Memorial High School tent. Austin had told Anthony that he needed to move out from under their team's tent, and Anthony grabbed his bag, opened it, and reached inside and proceeded to tell Austin, "Touch me and see what happens." No one really thought Anthony really had any weapons in his bag, and Austin proceeded to touch Anthony, and then Anthony told Austin to punch him and see what happens. A short time later, Austin grabbed Anthony to tell him to move, and Anthony pulled out what, redacted, recalled as a black knife and stabbed Austin once in the chest and then ran away. Austin began grabbing his chest and telling everyone to get help. Redacted, advised he did not know Anthony's name, but stated another Memorial Track member, we'll call this person EP, was, because there's initials there for EP, was friends with Anthony and he could identify Anthony. Redacted described Anthony as a black male, skinny with possibly a goatee, short, puffy hair, and wearing Centennial High School clothing. This concluded my contact with Redacted. And then, let's see. Let me go down on page 4 to Officer Fisher, Alvin Fisher. When I arrived, the crime scene was already marked off and a suspect was in custody. I began asking people if there were witnesses to anything. I made contact with Hunter, that's Hunter Metcalf, and then EP, and they were both breathing heavily and crying due to the nature of events. They were with their coaches on the field and it was pouring down rain. We made the decision to relocate to a locker room just to the east to get out of the rain. Once in there, things calmed down a little bit. However, they were still hysterical and could not really talk. In there, I learned Hunter was the brother of the victim. I attempted to ask them both what happened. I could not really get anything out of Hunter, but Redacted stated he wanted to speak. I asked him what happened. He stated they were all sitting on the bleachers under a Memorial High School tent when another male whom he did not know walked over and sat under the tent. Then said Austin, the victim, told this male that since he did not go to Memorial, he had to leave the tent. Austin and the male went back and forth, and then Austin stood up and pushed the male to get him out of the tent. He said during this time of arguing, the male was reaching around in his bag he had. It was at this time the male took out a knife and stabbed Austin and then left the scene. That was all Redacted remembered when he talked to me. Now, there was another part. I'm trying to see where they were talking about securing the scene. And I feel like that part is important because when they said when they were securing the scene that it did not start to heavily rain until after Austin had already been stabbed. I'm trying to find that part now. They said it would begin to rain heavily, and this was the part that I wanted to find. Okay. On page 5, Jacob Shawls. Upon my arrival, I tried to get an updated location of the suspect. I could not see Officer Cortez when I arrived. Officer Cortez informed over the radio that he had the suspect in custody. At this time, I turned my attention to the victim. Multiple FISD trainers were already performing CPR. I could see blood on and around the victim. At this time, medics arrived and began life-saving measures. I coordinated with other officers on scene to secure this location. By the time the students and FISD staff had cleared the area, I used crime scene tape and began to tape off the area. It began to rain harder at this time. Sergeant Cortez and myself moved a Memorial High School tent over the medics and victim to attempt to preserve any evidence that we could. A Memorial coach approached me and informed me that he was with a student who claimed to see the entire altercation. I told the coach to stick with the student and that we would need to get him to the police station to give me a statement. The student quickly informed me that he knew where the suspect threw the knife and pointed me to its location. I located the knife with Sergeant Otis and could see blood on the knife. I quickly used my city-issued phone to take pictures before the rain could wash the blood away. Sergeant Otis located a blue tarp and we decided that we should cover the knife without touching it in an attempt to preserve any evidence. It was windy and raining hard. Once we positioned the tarp over the knife, I reached down and grabbed a backpack left in the stands to weigh the tarp down and threw it up where Sergeant Otis was positioning the tarp. It was later discovered that the backpack I threw up on the tarp was the suspect's backpack. It was the only Centennial High School backpack located within all of the Memorial High School backpacks in that area of the stands. Let me see if there's anything else that I think. So on page 6 of 7, and you're free to read all of this yourself, word for word. I'm just trying in the interest of time to skip through to the most important parts here. At the end here for Officer Craig, I immediately responded to the scene. Upon arrival, I first made contact with Officer Cortez, who was standing next to a marked police vehicle. Officer Cortez advised he had detained the suspect and he was in the patrol vehicle. I then responded to the victim's scene that was in the north bleachers. As I walked up, I noticed Frisco Fire Department personnel was attempting to provide life-saving measures to a subject later identified as Memorial High School Austin Metcalf. As the other officers worked the scene, I was asked to respond to the stadium's medical locker room area and keep the following Memorial High School students separate until detectives could speak with them. All those names are redacted. While I was with them, I was told to take their cell phones from them and later turned them over to Sergeant Bisonette. After being relieved, I was asked to make contact with all FISD athletes that had been placed on school buses. Below is a list of students who identified themselves as witnesses to the stabbing of Austin Metcalf. Now, I feel like this is important too. These are all witnesses. These are all people who have identified themselves as witnesses. And there are about 30 people here on multiple buses. The witnesses included Lebanon Trail High School Girls Track, Lebanon High School Boys Track, Liberty High School Girls Track, Memorial High School Boys Track, Frisco High School Boys Track, Independence High School Boys and Girls Track, and Emerson High School Girls Track. There were also multiple coaches. I don't need to say their names out loud, but there were also, as you can see, quite a few coaches who said they heard the suspect confess to stabbing the victim, heard the suspect confess to stabbing the victim, and 2 here that witnessed the incident. So that is a summary of the arrest report. Again, you're free to read the entire thing while we continue on here. I shared this on April 7th, 2025. I had immediately requested a copy of it when this first occurred. And so this was about 5 days after it occurred. I don't know why I think I was one of the first reporters to get my hands on this report. Let me just say that when I posted this, it said full arrest report of Kamelo Anthony. There was nothing about race. There was no type of bias as to, what had actually happened. It's just an explanation of what is actually there. And literally within 24 hours of posting this, I started to receive threats. And I just didn't understand why at that time. I understand why now, but I didn't understand why at that time. If you look at link number 2, I'm not going to put it up in the nest, but if you look in link number 2 in the purple pill, someone literally created an AI photo of Kamelo holding onto Austin by the neck and said, "You are a whore who deserves to be raped." And that is an important thing that was one of many threats that I had received just for reporting the arrest report. And that's important to note. That specific one is important to note, and you'll understand why here in just a little bit, why I'm bringing this one specifically up. Let me go to number 3. So let me think. This is, what date is this now? So on the 10th is when I first found out that the defense for Kamelo Anthony and the person who was advocating for him was an individual by the name of Dominique Alexander. Dominique Alexander has a very fraudulent organization by the name of Next Generation Action Network Foundation. And let me just read this post to you because I'm not gonna put everything up again in the nest because it could crash the space. But an attorney that was affiliated with Next Generation Action Network, which was again founded by Dominique Alexander, Kim T. Cole, Kamelo Anthony and his family hired Kim T. Cole as their attorney initially. NGAN, Next Generation Action Network, is a BLM supporting 501c3 that, based on our investigation, me and my wonderful team up here, we found out that it had brought in 6 figures, but had filed only a total of 2 IRS reports since its inception in 2014. And according to federal law, 501c3s are required to file annual returns of their income and expenses with the IRS. The records also showed that this organization was involved with another entity called Good Work Dallas with the same registered address, which can basically indicate alleged money laundering, because through our investigations, we were able to determine, and Southern can butt in here if she wants to explain further, this person, Dominique Alexander, is basically doing what is known as 501c3 hopping, which is when you open a 501c3, you do not file your paperwork appropriately. Then once you start getting a fire burned underneath you from the IRS, you leave that and move on to another 501c3, is 501c3 hopping. Is that basically a good explanation? Would you say
Yes.
so? Okay.
Yeah, and for him, I believe one of his was actually shut down by the IRS, and that's why they had to open up another one. And
Right.
that was for not filing reports. And I'm verifying if they filed for this year yet.
Yes. Then we looked further into Dominique Alexander, who is a felon with a history of fraud, forgery, corruption, women battery, and a conviction for child abuse. His child abuse conviction was basically an incident where he shook a baby around the age of, I believe the baby was just under 2 years old, shook the baby to the point of brain damage. That baby is alive today, but will live with brain damage for the rest of its life. I believe it's a he for the rest of his life. I believe it's a little boy. Dominique was also responsible for the protest in Dallas that ended with Micah Johnson's gunfire and, 5 officers dead. And Kamelo Anthony's newly hired attorney, Kim T. Cole, at this time was also Dominique's attorney. Let me see. I believe they held an initial press conference where Dominique spoke as Kamelo's advocate, and he was making statements that the bond was too high. He also said that he defended the argument of self-defense. He kept saying that Kamelo's family was dealing with racism and bigotry, and he stated that probably about a dozen times. And then what was crazy, he also asked about the knife that was carried by Kamelo, and he justified Kamelo's right to hold the knife by comparing his case to Zimmerman and Kyle Rittenhouse. And then he told a blatant falsehood and said that Austin Metcalf's brother said in a media interview that Kamelo Anthony told Austin, "Don't put your hands on me." That was what I want many people to understand is that before there was a gag order, before there was a protective order, I talked to a lot of people involved in this case, and not a single person could corroborate that Kamelo had ever said, "Don't put your hands on me." Not that, honestly, that I think it would have mattered anyway. Unless it was like a full-on, like, I need to defend my life, you're going to choke me out and kill me, but that didn't happen. The arrest report never says anything about that as well. So this lie served to aggravate protesters, and it created a narrative to cause more divisiveness and provoke more inflammatory racist behavior. And that's me reading off of this particular report that I wrote. So there are multiple clips in this, let's see, which one am I on here? I'm on under Kim T. Cole fired. Okay, so under number 3, Kim T. Cole fired. If you scroll down through the thread, you'll find the clips where he literally is saying the things that I just mentioned. When his response when he's asked about the knife. Let me see how long these clips are. These clips are not that long. Do you want to play these clips, Sippy? They're in the thread. Under number 3.
Tell me if y'all can hear it.
Kamelo Anthony, from the beginning, has continued to display his self-defense claim. And I believe that in America, I always tell this, and I'm just going to speak truth to power in this situation. It is crazy that America tells us to accept the self-defense claim of George Zimmerman, Kyle Rittenhouse, and so many other people. But when the shoe is on the other foot, that claim is absurd. And I just gotta call a spade a spade. No matter what my personal views of a case may be, it is quite contradicting for America to come back and say, oh, Kyle Rittenhouse can have it, George Zimmerman can have it. All of these individuals that don't look like the color of my skin can't have it. In the state of Texas, We live in a state where yet you can walk around with the permitless carry. You can walk around with a brass knuckles. You can walk around with a knife. You can walk around with all these things. AK-47 in the state of Texas. And then as soon as you see a black person exercise those rights, we now have a problem. And that's not me spitting hate or race or bigotry. That's the facts. In an interview that I know that any prosecutor that got a hold of this case wouldn't have never wanted the brother of Austin Metcalf to do.
He didn't even say his name right
on the news. And it is clear. It is clear. In his own words, he stated that Kamelo Anthony said, "Don't put your hands on me." That's it. That's all we hear. Certain things were loosely said. There was loosely said. There were certain things that was loosely said in that interview that I just point people to. I don't want to ignite things or try to, speak for his legal defense or whatever it may be. But he stated, y'all.
You can stop there, Sippy. You can stop there. Now, did you notice that when he said that, when he said, "Don't put his hands on me," they tried to interject? You can literally hear them saying he didn't say that. And he talked over them. He repeated his words. He didn't acknowledge the fact that they were trying to say, hey, he didn't say that. He lied right off the bat, which is crazy. So he was lying right off the bat. This man created immediately racial tension, which is crazy to me, because if you remember the case of Kyle Rittenhouse, the individuals who were shot in that case, were they black?
Nope.
No. And he brought up Kyle Rittenhouse as if it was some sort of race issue because Kyle was white. He didn't shoot at black people. And later on in his presser, he also said that he shot someone in the back with an AK-47, which is another ludicrous lie. Now, remember, this is right now, at this time, this is April 10th, 2025, the spokesperson for Kamelo Anthony. And in my mind, I'm like, why in the world would you want this person representing you? I don't understand it. If you scroll down through that thread under number 3, I go into a lot more detail about his organization. We don't need to get deep into that right now. It's already 8:30 and we're only on number 3. So let me see if I can.
County grand jury has.
Let me see if we can skip forward a little bit here. Yeah, I knew I was going to get caught up in a lot. So number 4 is still more about the 501c hopping. Number 5 is more on Dominique Alexander, and he was pushing the Give, Send, Go for Kamelo. This is when we started becoming more aware of the Give, Send, Go. GoFundMe, they had a GoFundMe, and the GoFundMe was taken down because their purpose for the GoFundMe was against GoFundMe policy. So they have primarily used Give, Send, Go. Just to, because there's going to be a few rumors that I'm going to go ahead and take care of in this space, and because there are quite a few rumors. Or he has both. He doesn't have both. He just has the Give, Send, Go. The GoFundMe was taken down. Let me see. Let me go to number 7. What is number 7 here? Okay. Then on April 12th, we discovered that all of a sudden Kim T. Cole and her firm were no longer representing Kamelo. Let's see. Number 8. Okay. This is interesting because a lot of people kept trying to say, oh, we didn't know about a video until months later. That's not true. I was actually informed that there was a video on April 12th, which was 10 days after the stabbing. And I said, Texas authorities now have video of Austin Metcalf and Kamelo Anthony's confrontation before the fatal stabbing. Now, mind you, I posted this before I had actually seen the video myself or had read other people's depictions of this video or really fully understood what video they were referring to. So in this post, I say the release of the video evidence will be eye-opening when it comes to Carmelo Anthony's, quote, self-defense claims. The video ended up not being as eye-opening as I thought it would, unfortunately, but it's not. Let's see. Okay. Number 9. This is when Carmelo's bond had been set to 250,000, brought down from $1 million, and was placed on house arrest with an ankle monitor. Let's see. And then this is number 10. This is when we found out that apparently, and this is very important to remember as well, for when I talk about the bond hearing here in just a few. Dominique Alexander stated that a man named Corey Toney, which is the owner of No Limit Bail Bonds, provided the entire bond amount for the 17-year-old who stabbed Austin Metcalf in the chest. After conducting a quick search of Corey Toney's background, he had his own past of resisting arrest. Corey claims to be a pastor and had shared misinformation regarding the case on his own social media platform. Okay, so Kevin Hayes, if you look at the number that, if you're on there right now, and you look at these screenshots, if you look at the second screenshot, Corey Toney, which is the person that is alleged to have paid for the bond for Carmelo, shared Kevin Hayes' post. Kevin Hayes is the uncle of Carmelo Anthony. The uncle made a whole bunch of statements and basically stated that he was attacked, stated that one of the twins had never seen Carmelo before, which they hadn't, but he said that's a lie. He said that further on in his statement, I'm not sure you can see it in this screenshot, but you can probably still go to Kevin Hayes' Facebook because I'm pretty sure he still has that post public. But he said that they had taken Carmelo's cell phone and had smashed it on the ground and had broken his cell phone. To this day, people have asked him, can you show us a picture or any proof that there was a broken cell phone? And he has not. He made that up. 100%. He made that up. And this person, Corey Toney, had shared the misinformation, and then agreed to pay for Carmelo's bond. So that is, let's see, number 10 is Carmelo and Alexander take a photo together. That's actually a lot of people have seen that photo. Again, in number 11, it was number 11. Number 11 is where Dominique Alexander said that Corey Toney had offered to pay Carmelo's bail. Okay, number 12. We find out that not only are they running a Give, Send, Go, but they have started a page called Justice for Carmelo. And under the advice of Dominique Alexander, we don't know if Dominique advised them to do this or not, but they launched a site to sell merchandise for, quote, his legal defense. And this was, of course, on top of the Give, Send, Go, fundraiser. Let's see. Okay. Next is number 13. This was kind of crazy. This was before I had personally spoken with or interviewed Jeff Metcalf. And Dominique Alexander was holding a press conference. This was on April 17th, 2025. And Jeff Metcalf, right before Dominique Alexander started his press conference, Jeff Metcalf arrived to the press conference and stood there. He did not say a word. He just stood there with his sunglasses on, his arm is in a sling, and was not leaving. And they had asked him to leave. He didn't want to leave. They called the police on him and wanted him trespassed because the press conference was being held at NGAN headquarters. And so apparently Dominique Alexander had the right to trespass him if he wanted to. Jeff did leave after the police arrived. He left peacefully. Later on, when I interviewed Jeff, he told me that he was able to prove that when you are asked to leave, you can leave without killing someone. Let's see. Number 14. Dominique Alexander opened by chastising the father of Austin Metcalf for attending the public press conference that he was forced to leave. Do you want to, let me see how long this is. Yeah. Can you go ahead and play this, Sippy?
The father being at this press conference. These are my words. Don't quote anybody. Is a disrespect to the dignity of his son. Next Generation Action Network from the beginning has respected the loss of life. No matter our opinion of it, we have kept our opinion close. We have not attacked. We have not shared the information that was shared with us about Austin Metcalf, because we respect the dignity of life.
Was that the whole thing? That clip
was it.
particularly?
Yeah.
Okay. Play the one that I just sent you in DM. For some reason, it didn't make it to my list. Can you play that one, please? Also, it's crazy to me that he said Metcalf wrong like a dozen times. And he still, he did a recent press conference and still could not get the victim's name correct, which I think is disgusting. That's just my opinion. Can you play the clip that I sent you in DM, please?
But Frisco ISD has notified of their intent to expel Kamelo Anthony from school 1 month before his high school graduation. That just shows me that Frisco ISD is trying to push off the blame. And what I have not heard the media say, as many media outlets have asked us what went on, I'm trying to find how many of y'all have asked the superintendent or one single board of trustee, why didn't you cancel or postpone? With weather in that magnitude, you couldn't have a track meet in rain or thunderstorm or clouds. Y'all are the media. Ask your journalists, your weather journalists, how the weather was that day and that time. Y'all do that research. Because as a person who is the administrator of your children, you are responsible for the safety of the children. And so it seems as if Frisco ISD is trying to push this off.
Okay.
By making this decision that they do not.
You can end that there. So just so y'all know, I did do the research because he said, do your research. The school track meet was under a lightning delay. It was actually not raining at the time of the stabbing. They were under a lightning delay and everything was delayed, but there was no rain. It did not actually start to rain until after the stabbing. So he was either lied to or he is being dishonest here. I don't know which one it is here. Now, if you remember, I showed y'all earlier the threat that came in about 5 days, or excuse me, that I posted about 5 days after I shared the arrest report. This part's interesting. If we want to play the next part, it is number 15, please. It's actually on number 15. We don't even have to play it. We don't even have to play it, actually. He calls me out by name and said that I had been harassing him. I mean, if you want to play it, we can. But it was more of a visual thing, because that threat where someone basically says that they were going to rape me, he holds up that threat while he's talking about me, which was the most bizarre thing. He literally printed it out on a printer and held it up for all of the media to see while he's holding this press conference. And it's a threat towards me of someone literally threatening to rape me for posting an arrest report. Like, someone needs to explain to me how this makes any form of sense whatsoever. So you can listen to that later if you want. I'm just not. I'm sick of. I don't want to hear him anymore, to be perfectly honest with you. Also, that night, Jeff Metcalf was swatted. I cannot remember in my head if that was the first time he was swatted, but he was swatted that night. Okay, number 16 is important. So I'm going to actually put number 16 in the nest because I think that people need to see this. Okay. We're going to go over the bond hearing. Okay, there was a lot of misinformation where people were saying that the family purchased a home with the Give, Send, Go money, that they purchased a brand new car, that they did all these things, and it was even pushed originally by the Daily Mail, which had to retract their statement, which does happen sometimes, but this was a pretty big this is a pretty big rumor to spread, and I think it came from a very large misunderstanding when people realized what kind of home the Anthonys were actually living in, and then it was a nice, beautiful home, and people automatically started the rumors of, oh, they purchased this house with the Give, Send, Go money. Okay, it's actually not true, and the truth is actually a little bit more disturbing, in my opinion, and let me explain why. This starts, the questions really begin to, go through your head when you find out what happened at the bond hearing. So the Anthony family stated that they will use funds for other, quote, other plans. Drew Anthony, which is the father of Kamelo, claimed that the family is being forced to purchase a new home. After they currently rented a home valued at $800,000 for over $3,500 a month. So at this time, they're living in a large gated community in a large home. That's fine. With rent that is almost $4,000 a month in an $800,000 home. Okay, fine. No judgment here. But he's claiming that they're having to move because of threats made against their family. Let me also go ahead and interject into that. I have sent actually multiple open records requests to Frisco PD asking for any reports of any threats whatsoever. The only threat that actually happened at the Anthony's home was when some high school kids were playing Senior Assassin. And I don't know if many of you are familiar with that game, but in Texas, it's kind of popular. Senior Assassin is during your senior year. You go around and you video yourself tagging the other person like with a squirt gun. So they were coming after another student, knock, knock on the door. Oh, there you are, tagged you with a squirt gun. They didn't even go to the Anthony's home. They drove past with squirt guns because they were playing Senior Assassin. And it took the police literally showing up to the Anthony's home, and Drew then admitted that, oh yes, they were just squirt guns. So remember that. Because of the threats made against their family, Drew said that they needed to move. This came after Drew allegedly told the court that he didn't have access to money that could have helped pay the $1 million bond. So remember, this is the hearing that they're trying to hold where they're trying to lower the bond from $1 million to, whatever the judge orders. And a few hours later, the judge reduced the bond to $250,000 due to their, quote, financial hardship, and Kamelo was released. And again, it's important to note that the family allegedly did not even pay for the bond because, according to Dominique Alexander's statements, Corey Toney, owner of No Limit Bail Bonds and alleged pastor, provided the entire bond amount of $250,000. Now, Mike Howard, which was Kamelo's newly hired attorney, stated that it would be disingenuous to say there isn't money. but it is not a bond fund. This family needs to survive. So I said in this post, based on this, I need people to answer, were they living large before they went to court and lied to the judge about their funds? Or are they living large now on their Give, Send, Go? Because they actually began pulling funds 2 days ago from the Give, Send, Go, according to the mother. So in this post, I'm basically saying, let's see, this was posted April 19th. On April 17th was when they did the press conference. And at the press conference, and I don't need to play all of that, you can go back, and I'm sure I posted it at some point in a thread, because I've reported on this extensively. But on April 17th, when the mother goes up to talk, you can also go look at the press conference on YouTube. When the mother goes up to talk, she said, we only just started pulling the funds yesterday, which means they started to pull the funds on April 16th. And then at the bond hearing, they said that they had not been able to pull the funds yet, but they were able to pull the funds very shortly afterwards. But they also said that they were in a financial hardship. Drew said that he was only making about $70K a year and that he was working at a car dealership, but yet they were living in an $800,000 home with a $3,500 month rent. It just did not make a lot of sense in my mind. So just providing you with the facts, you can do with that what you want. It didn't make much sense to me. Let me go back to the number. Let me see where we're at here. More info. Okay. Review of bond hearing. All right. Number 17. I'm actually going to go ahead and put this in the nest as well, because this really, really freaking angered me. Some of you, oh, why can't I share this in the nest? Oh, yep, I can. Okay. Some of you may already know that I am no fan of Jake Lang. Not a fan. I think that he causes division. I think that he causes the race issue to be worse. And at this point was when I had briefly started communicating with Jeff, and I was starting to understand Jeff's heart. And Jeff didn't want this to be about race. He was angry and wanted Kamelo to be held responsible for his actions, period. He didn't want it to be about race. And I was very angry when this happened. When Jake Lang held a rally in the parking lot, which I later found out he held it in the parking lot of Frisco ISD, the Frisco ISD parking lot there at the school. And the superintendent gave him permission to do so after Jeff Metcalf asked him to not to. Jeff Metcalf asked and pleaded with the superintendent, please do not let him do this Protect White Americans rally, and the superintendent allowed it to happen anyway. During this time, I was also still receiving a lot of threats. Jeff Metcalf was being swatted repeatedly. Total times Jeff Metcalf was swatted six times. Megan Metcalf was swatted twice. They do not live in the same home. They are divorced. So they were both swatted individually. And at this time, there was just a lot of tension going on. And Jake Lang had messaged me. And also let me point out this, at this point, I was about 5 months pregnant with my youngest child. He's now 9 months old. So I'm big pregnant. I'm tired. I have a 5-year-old, I'm reporting from home, receiving all these threats, people saying they're going to kill me and all these things, they're going to rape me and all these things. And then Jake Lang wants me to come to his Protect White Americans rally. And at this point I'm talking to Jeff. Jeff didn't want this. He didn't want this. And I said, absolutely freaking not. I'm not coming to your rally. I want nothing to do with it. You don't seem to understand that I'm 5 months pregnant. And if I come to this rally, that I could be placing myself in a lot of danger because these people literally want me dead. And he called me a coward and said that I was weak. And then later on, I found out after the rally that this happened. Sippy, if you want to go ahead and play that clip.
Would you be willing to stand by me in a press conference or in an individual interview and talk about this issue that is larger than Austin at this point? God rest the beautiful young man's soul that would have been one of our strongest voices if he was still alive today. Yes, I am, sir.
Okay, so to speak. You are part of the fucking problem, my friend. You're trying to create more race divide than bridging the gap. I do not condone anything you do. You do not have any fucking...
That's called white guilt.
No, let it talk.
My son, let me finish. I gave you your time. You take my son's face off your website. I am not associated with you.
You're creating more Austin Metcalfs with your weakness, sir. You are creating more Austin Metcalfs with your weakness.
Here, you are being weak. I gotta be honest with you about that, sir.
You're being weak. Condemn your son's killer and the culture that caused it.
Hey, Jeff.
That's the problem. You've been submitted.
Hold on, hey, Jeff.
You've been submitted.
I'll handle it from here.
You've been submitted, sir.
You're not gonna make
If
us
we
back
were all,
down.
if we were all of your nature,
down.
Guys, listen.
You're
Let
not
me
gonna
say
save
this.
what a
us.
weak man.
Do you know who you're talking to?
You
don't, do you?
I'm talking to a black man.
You don't. No, you're not.
Okay.
You sit here, you talk about Trump.
But I am. You're not
Google
gonna
my
make me
name
back
and
down.
Trump. No. When you do that, my name is Bruce.
I agree with black males winning,
Google that.
but they're not winning right now.
You're doing,
they're becoming degenerates.
What you're doing
and murdering white
you're
people.
not helping America. You're no more patriotic than I am. No
Being
way.
silent is
Where
not
were you
helping.
on January
You've been
6th?
silent. It's only gotten worse.
Where were you on January 6th?
You've been silent. It's only gotten worse.
Where were you? Did you stand for your country
So you
when they
think that
stole our
made you
vote?
patriot because you showed up there? Does that make you a patriot?
Joe
What's your
Biden,
solution?
Joe
Joe
Biden
Biden is a
All you're doing is
pedophile.
condemning us. What's your
My
solution?
solution is to help people where they're weak. So we have an issue in young black males' lives across the country.
It's not
It doesn't
say that
matter.
to Jeff
Nothing's
Metcalf.
changed.
It's
Say
getting
that to
worse.
Jeff Metcalf.
We talk about it, man.
Say it.
At the end of the
So
day,
then- so
the
then
man
what
is
is his-
asking. So let me ask you this: you got a father who's grieving, and your response is he's weak.
My father is celebrating my strength right now.
You have no idea. You'll never win the Senate. And what I'll do, I'll come to Florida and run for Senate and run as a Republican, and I'll kick your butt.
No, you lose, bro.
You need 2 years of presidency in Florida.
Because this behavior is why we're in the situation where we are.
No.
We get these. Is that what it is? Okay. Well, at the end of the day, he's asked you what to do and what not to do.
Listen,
you have a right to
he's
do it
no
or not
longer
do it.
You can say that
Metcalf.
about
I love
Austin
Austin.
Metcalf, but we're gonna
don't
continue
know
this
Austin.
movement.
I love somebody.
You
enough
love
to
the
be
thought
strong
of using
with.
Austin
No.
for T-shirts, for propaganda, and to get out here and talk about
You want to
who you
shut
are.
down a
I'm
white
not
man
raising
right now.
money.
That's what
I'll
I'm trying
shut
to
you
do.
down, Amy.
I'm not
you're not
raising
shutting me
I'm
down.
not raising money like Kamelo
Because I got
Anthony.
family.
I'm not
letting
raising
them
money
put
like
me put down
Kamelo
anymore.
Anthony.
No, bro, you
finances
stop.
at
You
a
came here to try to shut him down.
No, I
That's
came
what
in to
this
give him a
is.
message from a father.
And listen,
but I realized
Nah,
that's
bro.
Is that the whole? Is that what was? Was that the clip?
Yes.
Yep,
Okay.
that's the whole clip.
I'm so thankful to that man for getting in Jake Lang's face and telling him exactly what Jake Lang needed to freaking hear. I'm so disgusted. Yeah, I'm so disgusted by the fact that Jake Lang
Would
not
you be
only
willing
said,
to-
you are guilty, you've got white guilt, but you're also creating Austin Metcalfs. Imagine telling a grieving father that. His son has not even been dead for more than a couple of weeks. And Jake Lang said that to Jeff Metcalf on the phone. Jeff Metcalf told him, you are a part of the problem. You are a part of the divide. And mind you, after this happened, Jake Lang, and he just got told to his face, you are creating a divide. You were doing this for propaganda. You're doing this for attention. He then went from this rally, went to the stadium, broke into the stadium, by the way, because that is school property and it's gated. And you're not supposed to be in there. He then broke into the stadium and filmed what he claimed was Austin's blood on the ground, even though afterwards it turned out that it was not Austin's blood and he was on the wrong side of the stadium, like an absolute moron. I have no love for this man whatsoever. So, yeah, let's move on. Let me see if I can skip forward a little bit. Jake Lang calls Jeff weak. I shared more information on Dominique Alexander. Dominique Alexander threatened to sue me. I told him, please do, because Discovery will be lit. Alexander was involved in multiple fights that were caught on video. I shared a lot of those videos. Jeff was swatted again. And the Anthony family allegedly moved. I do not believe that they moved to Louisiana. Drew posted on his Facebook that they were moving to Louisiana. I do not believe that they did. I don't know why he posted that on his Facebook. Jeff was swatted again. I'm trying to scroll down here. We found out that Dominique Alexander was being funded by other organizations that were funded through Soros. Okay, here we go. Number 26. we found out that Frisco ISD, instead of completely expelling Carmelo Anthony, and, you know, rightfully so, because he stabbed someone in the heart and killed them on Frisco ISD property, brought a knife to school, which is against Frisco ISD policy. Frisco ISD allowed themselves to be bullied by BLM activists into allowing Carmelo the reward of being able to graduate. We were pretty upset about that. I posted, through open records requests, I posted a copy of an email that was sent by Arthur Watkins, who is a part of the Freedmen Legal Fund Trust, which, by the way, in every single one of their posts, they ask you to send them money. Basically underneath every single post. They're very money hungry, but they sent an email to the school and basically threatened to sue them if they didn't let Carmelo graduate. Megan Metcalf. This part is heartbreaking. I'm gonna actually share this part in the nest because I think this needs to be seen. On April 17th, Megan Metcalf, the mother of Austin, emailed Frisco ISD begging them not to allow Carmelo to graduate. And her email was pretty heartbreaking to read. Frisco ISD refused to respond to the mother of the victim. She sent a follow-up email on May 13th, so this is almost a month later, demanding a response. Megan received the same response that many others, including me, have received when inquiring about a student. And instead of a heartfelt email or any form of empathy from the school, Frisco ISD included a copy and paste of school policy. And this, this kind of got into politics, but I said this response came directly after the school elections were held. So it's almost as if they were waiting and holding out to respond to her until after school elections. It was kind of obvious. She emailed the school and said, "My name is Megan Metcalf. My son Austin was tragically taken away from me on April 2nd from another Frisco student. I have been informed the civil rights team that this person has behind him are reaching out to you, requesting he'd be able to graduate. I do not know much about your stance on protest, but I would urge you to make sure that you do not change your mind on this ruling, that the boy is expelled and it stays that way. My son Austin will never be able to graduate. This person will have the opportunity to get his GED at a later time because he is still living. I would strongly request that you do not allow him to sway your ruling and keep him from being able to graduate from the Frisco ISD's schools that we hold so dear." Her next email on May 13th said, "Someone needs to respond to me. This is unacceptable." And then, hold on, baby, let me turn it up for you. Is that okay? Yeah. Okay. The school finally responded to her and said, "I apologize for the lack of response. Due to student privacy laws, we cannot comment on any individual student. We can provide the following information." And then that is when they copied and pasted a policy, which, by the way, I and myself and several others received this exact email. The mother of a son who had been brutally taken away from her received the same email that reporters were receiving. There's something deeply wrong with that in my eyes. And then we later found out that, let's see, more information about Alexander. Number 30, we found out that Dominique Alexander, that the school was not only being threatened with legal, but Dominique Alexander had also threatened protests, which, if you know anything about Dominique Alexander's protests, they usually end violently. And I know Frisco knew that. So that was interesting to find out. And then the school, as I said, did decide to let Carmelo graduate and receive his diploma. He did not obviously go to graduation, but he received his diploma. Oh boy. Okay. Number 31. I'm not going to read this whole thing. Many of you are very familiar with the next advocate that appeared on the scene after Dominique Alexander disappeared. Dominique Alexander kind of disappeared, and then in enters a woman by the name of Tiffany Billions. I cannot get too far into Tiffany Billions because I'm actually now in the process of suing this woman. If you thought that Dominique Alexander was aggressive or an insane person to choose as your spokesperson or advocate for this family, Tiffany's worse. She is a felon. She went to prison for stealing property from an elderly woman. She went live repeatedly and claimed that I was a meth head, she immediately attacked me, said that I was a meth head, that I was a meth whore, that I was a prostitute, and started a lie that I received illegal documentation from Collin County Courthouse, which was not true at all. Every receipt that I've ever shared in any of my reporting has always been legally obtained through open records requests or just by, emailing or calling or, talking to a witness and, relaying what witnesses told me and all these things. Like, nothing was done illegally. She immediately started smear campaigns, started targeting me with CPS, said that I needed to be investigated, said that I was harming my children, and said that if I kept talking, that she was going to make my children pay. She also called Austin Metcalf worm food. She disparaged and she said pretty horrific things about the Metcalf family that I don't even like repeating, but they're pretty horrific. Let's see. Alexander out, Tiffany in. Let me share. I'm just going to share this with In the Nest, and I don't need to read all this because it is a lot, but if you want to learn more about Tiffany, holy cow, she is something. She has a group of people that she calls her minions or her, quote, disruptors that she starts campaigns with. She has started multiple campaigns. One of the campaigns included charging Hunter Metcalf with murder because she claimed that Hunter killed his own brother. And yes, if you're going to ask this question, she has been seen on a live panel on TikTok with Drew, the father of Kamelo, multiple times. She has brought Drew up into her live panels, and she has also stated in a live panel, while Drew is in her live panel, she has stated that she is the advocate that the family selected. So if you want the connection between the two, there you have it. Let's see. Alexander, my explanation. Okay, yes, this part's important. Number 32. A lot of people have questions about the video. You're going to see a lot of propaganda about the video. Okay, the video. There is no clear video of the incident. Okay? A lot of people are like, oh my gosh, if the video was just made public, this would all be over, right? Let me make something very clear. The video that was referred to, I believe I said on the 12th that, I'd been informed that there was a video, is video footage from security footage from Frisco ISD. In this post, I'm just going to read my post. Many people seem confused about why this video was allowed to be seen, which parts were permitted for viewing, and other details allow me to clarify. I've seen the video. Actually, I was supposed to see the video via open records request. I actually ended up being able to go view the video, not on my specific viewing date for the ORR. But anyway, it doesn't matter how I saw it. The actual stabbing event cannot be seen. Only the moments before and after. You cannot see what is happening. It is far away. You cannot identify faces. The tent you can see, and it looks very far away. It's in the corner of the screen. The footage is, like I said, recorded from far away. Let's see. The actual stabbing is not shown. This portion, I was told at the time, was being withheld by the DA for possible evidence in the case. However, I've also been told that much of it is not admissible since nothing is clearly visible. After the stabbing, EMS arrives on the scene 9 minutes later. You can see an individual running down the bleachers, tripping and falling, then getting up and continuing to run. That individual was Kamelo. I didn't even know that. Someone had to tell me. The publicly released clip had no evidentiary value. That is what I was told. Unfortunately, many fake reporters and activists defending Anthony have used this video to claim they, quote, saw the incident. They saw nothing. I reported this weeks ago, but for the first time, I'm grateful that the mainstream media is finally catching up. So the mainstream media then began to get word that this video was available to go see via open records request. They went to go see it. Basically the same thing. They couldn't really see anything. You see a burst of energy. You see people running away. You cannot see the actual incident of what actually happened. And if maybe they'll be able to take the video, maybe they'll be able to zoom in really close, maybe they'll be able to clear it up a little bit. I still don't think it's going to have a lot of, I don't think they'll be able to see much based on the location of the tent and whatnot. But maybe they'll try to do that during the trial. I don't know. But everyone claiming that this video is going to solve everything, they're incorrect. This video was actually available for the public. It is no longer. I'll explain that in a minute. Then Greg Willis announced the indictment. Let's see, this was at the end of June. And then later on I shared a copy of the indictment. That's the number 36 copy of the indictment. That's the document that they're claiming I received illegally, which doesn't make any sense. It's very strange. Number 37 is campaign by Tiffany Billions. The Hey Kamelo campaign is very bizarre. You're welcome to go look at it if you want. Number 38. Okay. There was a lot of people saying that Kamelo claimed indigent status. He did, and he was approved for indigent status. My understanding is that because Kamelo became an adult, he turned 18, he has no job of his own, he has no money to speak of, he can claim himself specifically indigent status and can be approved for it. Whether he uses his indigent status or not, that is what people need to understand. He doesn't have to use his indigent status. He is just approved for it. They do have a retained attorney. His name is Mike Howard. Okay. Then I had sent an open records request because it had come to my attention that there were multiple subpoenas that had been sent out by the defense, and I wanted to see what these subpoenas were. I'm going to try and skip past this because we have a little bit more to cover here. Let me see if actually this guy can probably share in the nest. Am I sharing too much, Southern, or is this okay?
Oh,
You're good.
you're at 5 right
You're good.
now.
Yeah,
Okay, so this is okay?
Yeah.
you're fine.
Okay. So this is what led to the gag order and the protective order. I had sent an open records request for the subpoenas, and you need to remember that while I'm sending open records request for all this information, so is the other side. So is Tiffany. So are all these other people who have targeted the Metcalf family, who have targeted me, who have targeted my children, and have made it very clear that they're going to come after anybody involved in this case. So while I am sending open records requests for these subpoenas, so was Tiffany. And from what I had already reported on Tiffany, it didn't look good, and there were a lot of concerned parents, okay? The subpoenas were sent by Mike Howard through an open records request, or excuse me, I received the subpoenas sent by Mike Howard through an open records request that I submitted to Collin County District Clerk's office. According to the documents, Mike Howard was requesting all disciplinary, counseling, and school records from Frisco ISD for Kamelo, Austin, and Austin's brother Hunter, okay? But he also was requesting all of the private information, parents' names, addresses, basically like anything that could identify someone for all the witnesses who were there that day. And mind you, a lot of these people are minors. A lot of these kids are minors. They were in the stands. You know, some of their parents were there, some of them were not. But these parents are finding out about these subpoenas, and it's very disturbing to them, you know, because if they receive responses with this information, they were afraid that their children and potential witnesses' information was going to be shared or somehow gotten a hold of publicly, because Tiffany and many others had already proven that they were grabbing up information and that they were sharing it. So they were concerned about the privacy of their kids. Let's see. Oh, by the way, I did confirm that Drew had a mugshot. That was a nothing burger. That's nothing, number 41. He had a mugshot for, I don't remember what it was. It was some sort of car. I don't know. It was a nothing burger. Just know that. Number 41, if you want to look at that. Okay, number 43. Here we go. Parents concerned that their parents will be doxxed. Okay, so on July 9th, I reported that multiple subpoenas were sent to Frisco ISD. Okay, so these subpoenas were sent to Frisco. They weren't sent to the parents. They were sent to Frisco ISD. That was July 9th, which is the report, I believe, that's up there in the nest. Mike Howard, Kamelo Anthony's attorney, requested, let's see, I already said all that. Okay, Howard requested a list of student athletes and their parents' information who attended the track meet, as well as copies of all video footage taken. The requested information including full names, dates of birth, addresses, parents' names, and contact info for those who attended the track meet at the stadium on April 2nd. On July 24th, okay, this is, remember the other date was July 9th, July 24th, so this is several weeks later, I obtained a copy of an email sent to every parent of each child who attended the track meet, informing them that they had until July 29th. So remember, these subpoenas were sent out on July 9th to Frisco ISD. An email from Frisco ISD was not sent until July 24th, letting them know that they had 5 days to file a motion or a notice of hearing to object to the release of their personal and identifiable information to the Anthony family's attorney and the Collin County courts. So the Frisco ISD had weeks to inform these parents of what was going on. They chose not to, and then they chose to give them exactly 5 days to object to their kids' private information being shared. Frisco ISD appeared to have given little consideration to the serious concern of parents regarding their children's safety. Activists and operatives had already threatened and targeted the Metcalf family, including their son Hunter, and there were also escalated threats towards me. And people were watching this. They were watching this happen in real time. The parents were watching my reporting. A lot of Frisco parents have followed me and have seen my reporting on this. Let's see, the school was required to make a reasonable effort to notify parents if the student is a minor before complying with the subpoena. I then spoke with several parents, reached out to me. One parent stated, given the heat that surrounds this case, not to be overdramatic, but every student that was there could be exposed to every nut that would have been swatted or followed or otherwise intimidated. The defendant, of course, has a right to his defense, but I don't need someone in Wisconsin calling the SWAT team because my son might be a witness. We didn't ask for this. We want to keep our lives private and have our kids able to attend school without any more anxiety than high school life itself already presents. That parent continued, I wish I could have gotten an earlier notice. This was a parent that I spoke with. I put this out in an effort to hopefully have an attorney contact me. I also shared an attorney's contact information that I knew with this parent in an effort to hopefully get this taken care of and get a hearing done for them to be able to object to this information being shared. So then, let's see. And then, okay, let's see, what date is this? July 28th. So July 28th, we got some very good news that actions had been taken to seal the private info of the minors. Let's see. Okay, according to one parent, I'm trying to scroll down this specific report. According to one parent who did obtain a private attorney, a motion was filed to seal the records. Both the defense and the prosecution did agree to this motion, and according to the attorney, all students will subsequently benefit from this. And according to my source, the state and the defense have worked out details to seal all the records of the students who were at the track meet who made statements to law enforcement. This is a very long report. So This was number 43 and 44, if you want to click on those links and go read those. And number 44 is an attorney was found to help the parents. Then number 45 was when a protective order and a gag order was put into place. So the protective order basically protected all the minor witnesses involved in this case. The gag order basically made it so that the attorneys and anyone directly involved with the case was no longer allowed to speak about the case itself. I then shared a copy of the protective order, which is number 46. Number 47 is a whole adventure. I won't get too deep into it unless you want to, but number 47, the video that I talked of earlier, that was the security footage that a lot of people went to go see, including Tiffany herself, was removed from the public view because allegedly someone tried to go into the viewing room and record the video in order to share it into a live feed on TikTok. The school then realized that this was not safe any longer. Plus also a gag order and protective order had just been put into place. So Frisco ISD sent for, pulled the footage and sent for an opinion from the Attorney General. The Attorney General agreed that the video should be pulled at this point. Number 48, I shared the incident report about that incident where someone allegedly attempted to record the video. Another scammer was found selling merchandise for Kamelo, number 49. Number 50, I won't get too deep into, but it is a video that is very descriptive that explains why I am now in the process of suing Tiffany, Charleston White, and Drew Anthony, as I believe that they are all three involved in targeting me as the person who's been one of the most prominent reporters on this case. Because Charleston White, I don't know if you're familiar with him, but he then went onto a podcast which got hundreds of thousands of views, said that he had just spoken with the father, Drew Anthony, so basically alleging that he was getting all of this information from Drew, Kamelo's dad, called me out by name, said that I was a meth addict whore, and then again repeated the lie that I was receiving documents illegally from the courthouse, and also said that Austin was stabbed with a Boy Scout knife and that Kamelo should have killed both boys because he said it was self-defense, and he said Kamelo should have killed both of them. So he is included in my lawsuit, as well as Drew Anthony. Number 51 is a thread about Tiffany Billions. Number 52 is where they began targeting me with CPS. At this point, I am almost due. I am ready to pop. This is in August 24th. They attempted to swat me. I went into labor that night. Thanks. Maybe that's what put me in a labor. I was late anyway. Whatever. The next day, while I was you gotta find some humor in it, right? The very next day, while I'm giving birth, CPS then shows up at my door because they claimed that I was abusing my 6-year-old child, who is currently sitting next to me. Pretty crazy stuff. Number 59, Drew confirms that he is working with Tiffany. So I just think that it was important evidence. He praised her for her work in a Facebook post. Number 60, Kamelo begins college. That was just, and number 61, Kamelo is studying criminal justice, apparently. Number 62 is interesting because that is when we found out we received the list from Frisco ISD that listed everybody that had seen the video via open records request. And one of the individuals on there is a pedophile. His name is Morris Turner, and he was somehow able to go onto school administration grounds and view a video of minors. And I understand you can't see their faces, but why is a pedophile and a registered sex offender, a child predator, allowed to go see any video or any footage, any paperwork involving children at a school that he doesn't even have, he doesn't have any business looking at all. He is or was a Tiffany Billions minion and had been sent there to go view the video by her. That was very interesting, and I actually brought that up with House Representative Daniel Alders, who's the House Representative here for District 6, and we are going to be working on correcting this and making sure that registered child sex offenders can no longer view footage or any information when it comes to children at any school via open records request. We're going to be working on that at the next legislative session. By the way, I probably also should have said I am an elected precinct chair and I am a Texas state delegate, and I work very closely with legislators here in Texas, especially Daniel Alders, who is my House rep. Let's see, number 63 was interesting because that was around Thanksgiving. Drew claimed that he could not work due to threats, even though no one knew where he was living, and said that he relied on Cash App for Thanksgiving dinner, which I thought was interesting since he had received $500,000 via Give, Send, Go, but could only afford Thanksgiving dinner via money being sent to him through Cash App. And there's more information on Morris Turner. A 10-minute video explaining my lawsuit. That is actually a very informative video. If you want to watch that, it goes into everything happening with the Metcalfs and how everything intertwines. Number 66, I found a second pedophile, which just confirmed the problem. Tiffany has relentlessly targeted this family. She did an entire live video where she was incredibly angry that Hunter had received a new truck, said that he was in the school parking lot showing off his truck. I would like to know how she knows this. That alone is very disturbing to me. Are you following a kid to a high school parking lot and seeing what he's doing? It just makes, it's crazy to me. Jeff, let's see. Oh, this one is, I'm actually going to put this in the nest. We're almost towards the end here because I really do want to see if we can take questions, if anyone has any. This was probably, I'm not going to lie, I was very satisfied with this, but you might remember the very popular video of Kamelo being walked out of the jail and being led to a van. And I did an entire expose on everybody that was involved with that, quote, security team that walked him from the jail to the vehicle. And I discovered that the people that were on this security team were felons. Like one of them, his name's Adigan Threat, is not even supposed to have a weapon. So I'm like, this is very strange. How are they a security team if they are criminals? It seems like everybody surrounding this case seems to be a criminal, right? Come to find out, after being reported to DPS, that they were operating without a license and had collected funds for security via the fundraiser, the Give, Send, Go. Let's see, not only had the Next Generation Action Network, which is run by Dominique Alexander, been found to be operating without a license, which is a Class A misdemeanor, but one of the individuals on his security team was Adigan Threat, who had a history of assault on a family member, unlawful carrying of a weapon, and drug possession, and can be seen in this video armed with a weapon. And when I originally exposed him, the Next Generation Action Network, aka Dominique Alexander, quickly removed Adigan's photo from their website. And because Dominique's security was armed, they can, according to state law, be charged with a felony. I have talked to several security officers here in the state of Texas. This is a huge no-no. You do not do this. Dominique is very angry, even more angry at me now than he was before because he got in trouble with DPS for this. So this was kind of, I saw this as a win. Thankfully, you know, there was finally some consequences coming down, some accountability happening here. Jeff had asked me to help put pressure on Frisco ISD to give Austin his diploma posthumously. That's number 69. because apparently they were actually considering not giving Austin his diploma, which was sick. And then we were finally able to pressure Frisco after after Jeff and Megan had to meet with multiple people within Frisco ISD and basically beg for their son to be given his diploma posthumously. They finally agreed to it, which I don't think should have ever happened. I feel like it should have been something that they offered, but that's just me. So after all this craziness, right, number 71, the judge releases the first order to restrict media and confirm rules for the courthouse. I feel like the first order was already very restrictive, and to me it made sense because of all the craziness happening in this case. Everything I have listed in the comments down there is not even everything I reported. These are just the main parts in the timeline. There was so much going on, so much doxing. Witnesses were doxed. I thought that I had that in my list here where the witnesses were doxed. Oh, I did. I skipped over that. Okay, this part needs to, I'm going to put this in the nest because people need to understand what happened here. These people, and these were, I believe they still are, I don't know. I can't even keep up with them anymore because they move around so much. But at the time, these people were Tiffany Billion minions or disruptors, whatever you want to call them. I believe one of them is still friends with her. I'm not sure. They might all be. I don't know. I can't keep up with them. But at this time, they were her minions. And they literally took the arrest report and were able to find out, I won't say which one, but they were able to actually successfully expose one of the minor witnesses, actually I think two of the witnesses that were protected and redacted in this police report. Indy, can you turn that down, baby? Actually, I'll turn it down. In this police report, they spoke out their full names. Sorry, he's playing Minecraft and he's being so quiet and good. They spoke out their full names and put their pictures up on the live panel so everybody could see what they looked like. So you all need to remember that these are the type of people that we're dealing with here. They will target anybody involved, anybody who goes against their narrative of Kamelo being attacked. Kamelo was attacked by 4 boys. Kamelo was defending himself. Kamelo had to crab walk backwards. Kamelo, all these crazy things. These are things that these people have literally said. Oh, it wasn't actually Carmelo's knife. It was a cleat sharpener in the beginning, which was ridiculous. It was actually Hunter's knife. It was actually Austin's knife. Austin fell on his knife. Absolute craziness. And they're trying to defend all of this, which is not been reported in the police report whatsoever. There's no indication of need for self-defense. There's no indication that he was ever attacked by 4 boys. But anybody who goes against this narrative, anybody who's on the other side, they feel like they have to get to. And they have targeted and they have relentlessly harassed the Metcalf family in some pretty disgusting ways. For example, the campaign to have Hunter tried and charged for murder of his own brother. It's disgusting. So sorry I skipped over that part. That part's important to remember. So all of this together is why when the judge released his first order to restrict media, I was not surprised. Because of all, the Judge Roach is very familiar and understands, and he knows exactly what's going on. The DA also knows exactly what is going on. A lot of the things I have told all of you here tonight, the DA is aware of all of it. The judge is aware of all of it, and they know. And so a lot of this, I believe, is done in the interest of keeping minors safe. So I don't mind it very much. What part does bother me is that when they amended the order, when the judge amended the order, he gave the media relations, I can't remember his name, crap. They assigned a new media relations admin at Collin County Courthouse, he was assigned to be in charge of basically picking the media. And if you looked at the 9 listed media, they are all mainstream media, legacy media people. There are no independent journalists. And I struggle with that. But I mean, we can't control what they've done at this point. The restrictions are very, let's just say that the order is very strict. We can't even bring cell phones into the courthouse. There can be no electronic devices. There is not going to be any live streaming. There's not going to be any pictures taken. There can be not even be a description of a witness that is a minor, which thankfully that's a good thing. But there will be no live streaming. There will be no video. There will be no pictures. Jeff shared with me the very emotional video of Austin receiving his posthumous diploma that was accepted by Hunter. I shared that a few days ago. One last thing I do want to point out, which I think was interesting that I found out I didn't find out. I actually already knew this, and I had reported on it in 2020, but I forgot about it. I want you all to remember that it was brought up in the bond hearing by the prosecution that Kamelo had a prior assault or an altercation involving Kamelo on February 4th, 2025, 2 months before the stabbing of Austin Metcalf. The incident was handled internally by Frisco ISD and did not involve law enforcement or criminal charges. This is another thing that a lot of people are talking about, lots of rumors. It was referenced in court as part of the prosecution's argument to keep the bond at $1 million. They did lose. The judge reduced it to $250,000 with house arrest and ankle monitor. Some believe that he brought a knife to school. We actually don't know. I have been told by multiple sources that he allegedly threw a chair across the room. Either way, somehow it went away. I also find it interesting that the TEA, which is the Texas Education Agency, told Frisco ISD in 2020 that Black males were being disciplined at disproportionate rates compared to their population share. Black students, you can read that last one here. 11% of enrollment, but 35% of out-of-school suspensions. So the TEA ordered the district to review and revise its code of conduct in order to lower those numbers. I take an issue with that because I think that it should have been left alone. And maybe if it had been left alone, maybe this would not have happened. I don't know, but I do think that it should be included with the evidence that I have been helping collect for Jeff Metcalf, because I do believe that Jeff plans on filing a suit after this trial is over. So I've been collecting a lot of information for him and handed it over to him. I'm hoping that he can do something with it. With that, I'm going to end that here. We've been through a lot. You can go to my highlights tab, and if there's anything here in the list that you don't see, or well, I thought she covered this, I probably did. It's probably in my highlights tab, starting from starting from beginning of April to current. Or you can do a keyword search on my X account and basically search anything out about this case. It should be there. So with that, I'm going to take a break because I need a drink of water for a minute. I need to get a drink of water. And if we want to bring up some hands and people who have questions, I'm more than happy to take questions if anybody has any.
Well, everybody, you guys feel free to hit that mic button. We'll be checking, making sure you're not a bot or a troll. But if you want to come up, if you have some questions, if you haven't already, like and repost the space. And not sure about this guy. This guy might be a bot.
Should I start?
No, I think we've actually talked to him before, but I
Okay.
don't know if she wants to chance it.
I'll leave that one up to Sarah. Did
I didn't
anybody have
realize
any?
he went to protected.
Yeah, I don't know.
Are you talking about Peace Almighty?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have him blocked on Instagram and on TikTok, actually.
Oh, you should have blocked him on here.
I actually didn't. I don't think I realized that he was on here.
Well, that's going to be a no, sir.
All right. So, well, he is gone.
Well, I mean, if you want to, you can, but I'm just going to say that he's very dishonest. He doesn't ask honest questions. And if you have a question, ask an honest question. Don't ask a question that basically you were sent to ask by a Tiffany Billions person or whatever. I'm so tired. I'm so freaking tired of it. I'm so tired of the dishonest questions. I'm tired of the, this person said this and this person said that. Okay, I'm going based off of what the police report said and what everybody said initially before the gag order and protective order were put into place. And I'm certainly not taking any rumor that Tiffany started as any kind of fact, because she's been caught in so many lies at this point that nothing she says can be trusted, as well as Dominique Alexander. Actually, you know what? Peace, why don't you, is he still there or did he?
No, he's not.
Okay.
But I unremoved him. So if you do decide to let him
Okay.
up,
I was going to tell him to ask his question in the purple pill, and then y'all would see how dishonest these people are. Because I have actually interacted with Peace before, and he's one of those people that he is convinced that it was self-defense and there's no other way out of it. He has said some ugly things about the Metcalf family, and I finally got tired of it and I blocked him. So, yeah.
So what you're saying is he's pretty stupid.
A lot of them are not very bright. or they
I'm just
are,
saying
they
we've
just-
talked to him in
they
a lot of
just-
spaces before, and it just goes around in circles.
Yeah, that's the thing, is that it does. It goes around, especially with Peace. Like I said, I've spoken with him before. It does just go around in a constant circle. And that's what I'm tired of. If you're going to ask me a question and I answer you, and then you respond to that with another question and don't even engage with what I just said to you, then we can't have an honest conversation. I hope that makes sense.
It does.
So should I play
Oh,
elevator waiting
we got
music?
Derek and Iron with hands up. Jeff McBride just came up. Derek, start with Derek.
What's up, Sarah?
Hey, Derek.
So, what is? I would say, let me put this exactly the way I want to put it.
Yeah.
What would you say? Is the status of Kamelo's case right now, and how long do you think this trial will go? Like, how long do you think this whole thing will go?
By status, I don't. There's not much to report when it comes to what's going on. I know that the trial starts June 1st. I know that his family and his advocates that have supposedly been, quote, advocating for him I believe that they've hurt his case. I think that they have hurt whatever chance he possibly had for an absolutely fair trial, to be perfectly honest with you. I think that all of their hatred and their threats have actually made his family look much worse than they already did. And I don't know why they chose to, even after Drew saw how Tiffany was behaving, even after it was pointed out to Drew, Tiffany is not a good person. Dominique is not a good person. Something else I didn't bring up. Drew Anthony and I actually communicated back and forth in Facebook Messenger for a while, and with a lot of the reports I was putting out were pertaining to Dominique Alexander, and he kept saying, stop doing this, stop reporting on this, just wait for the trial. I'm like, I'm doing my job, and people need to know. And I told him, you need to get away from Dominique. And I didn't tell him that. And I've actually shared my messages between me and Drew before. It's actually been shared on multiple podcasts. On AG Tactical's podcast, all the messages between me and Drew were shared. On the Quartering podcast, all of the messages between me and Drew Anthony were shared. You're free to go look at them. Drew Anthony really kind of told me what kind of person he was when he said something very ugly to me about my daughter that I'm not going to get into here because I just can't. I don't want to. It was a pretty horrific thing to say about my child. And at that point, I got very angry with him, and I would not communicate with him much after that. But when I told him before that to get away from Dominique Alexander, it was actually out of sympathy, because I was telling him he's not for you. This isn't doing any good for you. I don't understand why, after everything that's been revealed, why you are choosing to stay with this person. But then, of course, he chose to stay with Tiffany, right? Even after Tiffany said that she was going to make children pay, that she was, making all the threats and saying all the ugly things about the Metcalf family, Drew still chose to praise Tiffany and say that she was an amazing person, and, and watch out for Jezebel, AKA me. He was talking about me. So I think that they have substantially hurt their own case. And like I said, the trial starts June 1st, and I have been told that they expect this to last about 2 weeks. So I will be gone for 2 weeks, because I'm going to be gone. I'm going to be gone until the end of trial, but I did plan for 2 weeks because that's what I was told by a reliable source.
Can you
So they think the
clarify
trial.
what you mean by you don't think he's going to get a fair trial?
Maybe that wasn't the right way to put it.
I didn't think so. That's why I wanted to bring that up.
Not fair trial. I think that the trial is going to go differently than it could have if they had just stayed quiet. Does that make sense?
That's so much better. Yes.
Okay, that's what I mean. I think it doesn't have to do with being fair. It has to do with they revealed their character. They revealed what kind of people they are, and they did it in a very loud way, and they did it through the mouths of some of the most disgusting people that I have ever come across in my life. I don't know why you would choose to continue to let people speak for you who are just absolute degenerates, who threaten children, who dox witnesses on police reports, who target little kids, who calls the victim worm food. Like, how can you? And if you go look at the list, if you go look at all the information I shared about Tiffany, I share multiple clips where she's talking. And she does say some of the most disgusting things that I don't even want to repeat here. Drew, please understand that Drew Anthony is very aware. He knows all of what Tiffany has said and done, all the campaigns, everything, and has said in a live with Tiffany that he cares about Tiffany, and Tiffany has said that Drew picked me to be his his advocate for his family. So Drew knows, and he continues with this anyway. So not necessarily not a fair trial. What I mean by that is I think that they have affected the trial in a negative way, that they didn't have to, but they did anyway. I don't think they did themselves any favors.
More like they made Kamelo look worse than he actually is in the public opinion of everything, just because of what they've said and what they represent. Because they're representing him, it makes him look worse than anything.
Yes, agreed, because people already had it in their heads that he was a thug. Right? When the public general consensus is that this person is a thug, and there's pictures of him holding up a weapon and giving the middle finger in the dark to the camera, and there's just these pictures, and that was a legit picture of Kamelo. When there's these pictures floating around and people already believe him to be a thug, and obviously there's the obvious of he just stabbed someone for being asked to leave, for being told to leave under a school tent that was not his school tent. So he already has a bad public view. But now you have used quote, I say that loosely, advocates and spokespeople who have just made you look 100 times worse in the eye of the public. And and many others have put that out there and made sure people knew, look at these people, look at Dominique. Why do you think Dominique was so angry and called me out by name that I had called him out and let everyone know what kind of person he was? He didn't want people knowing all of that. He didn't want people knowing about his organization or about his past. And People absolutely knew after that. He knew that everyone knew, and it made him angry. And then he disappeared, and then Tiffany comes on, and she's even worse. So it's just, I don't understand that mentality. I don't understand why you would continue on. You know what I really don't understand? Why the attorneys have not told them to stop.
They probably have.
Right. So I would hope he would have. But at this point, like, did Mike Howard tell him to stop and he just said, screw you, Mike Howard? I don't understand any of that. I can't wrap my head around it, to be honest with you. I really can't.
Well, because at the end of the day, Mike Howard's whole job is to help Carmelo Anthony in the courtroom. He can't control what the parents do.
Right. Right, but he also knows.
And I'm no way saying that the mother is involved in all this. I don't know how much she knows about what's going on, what they've been doing in the backgrounds. I'm mainly, when I say his parents, I'm talking about Drew Anthony, his father.
Mostly Drew. Drew's been the more public one. But it's just, if you tell someone, hey, your son could go to prison for a very long time, and this is not helping your case, and could possibly even be brought up in trial about the behavior of the people you surround yourself with, why would you continue? Why why? I don't understand it. I'm not even going to continue to try to figure it out, but I don't get it.
Can I ask a quick question?
Hold on, we've got two people in front of you, Jeff.
Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Okay.
Control of it.
Iron.
Sarah, I've heard over the last, year, hanging out in spaces and stuff, little bits and pieces of this. And I missed the very beginning. Sorry about that, but I will go back and watch it. But it's good to kind of bring all of this together. And, you described a lot of what's going on with you here. You've talked about it a little bit in the evening spaces and whatnot. And maybe you haven't even processed this at this point, right? And perhaps you can't even talk about it, right, for, obvious reasons. But I'm just wondering what the toll has been on you personally, outside of the obvious, right? Like, how are you doing through all of this? Because, this just seems like you're reporting on a story, and it's become this thing that seems to have consumed you, and consumed a lot of part of your I guess your mental, I guess I'm concerned about your mental health and how you're doing through all of this. Or are you saving that to process it when the trial is over? Does that make sense?
No, that makes sense. Hold on one moment. Go brush your teeth, baby.
I'm hungry.
Okay, let me get you something. I want this story till the end of the trial to be mostly I want it to be centered on the Metcalfs. I want this space to be very centered on the Metcalf family and what they've gone through. I can't imagine, I cannot imagine having to bury my son and then be targeted for a year afterwards by the very people who took his life, by the very person's family who took his life. That really disturbs me. And Jeff and I have become friends through all of this, and I plan on being a good friend of Jeff's till the day I die, till the end. And Jeff feels the same way. We want to write a book together. He does plan on coming onto his space with me after the trial's over, because the gag order will be lifted, and I told him he could just go crazy, say whatever the hell he wanted to say. Because right now he can't, and he has told me that I've been a voice for him, which I love and I appreciate. I never saw this coming to this point. I never did. I just reported on it, and I noticed that from the very beginning there was so much division and hatred surrounding this case. Hold on one second. That's an avocado. Do you want it? I didn't think so. So much hatred surrounding this case. After Dominique Alexander called out my name and I was targeted, the threats became worse. Tiffany targeted me, the threats became worse. Mind you, I was pregnant through half of this. And so a lot was, I feel like, stolen from me because the joy of having the last baby I was ever going to have, more than likely, was taken from me. And that is basically, I feel like I've been thrown emotionally into this case when I didn't want to be thrown in emotionally into this case, but I'm here and I have now basically accepted it and embodied it as a part of my story and a part of Jeff's story. Because I don't know what else to do, to be perfectly honest with you. I don't know how else to react to it other than just accept it as this is a part of God's plan and what he wanted to do with me. And by God, I don't know what the next day is going to bring, but I'm going to do what he tells me to do. And I'm going to go to this trial and see it to the end. And then I'm going to cry my eyeballs out and hug Jeff and hug Megan and do whatever Jeff wants to do after that.
Well, I'm glad you've had those people to lean on, and obviously your faith is a huge part of that. So just know there's people paying attention to all sides of it, right? It's incredible to me how wrapped up a journalist could get in a story like this and become a big part of it, quite frankly, because of how they've come after you. It's just atrocious to me. So just know our family says prayers for you. I know a lot of your friends are here on the stage and the speaker panel, and I guarantee you we have all prayed for you more than once. We'll continue to pray for you, and especially for the Metcalf family. I didn't mean to take aside from that, Sarah, but you're kind of a selfless person, and I've come to know that about you. And you've really given a lot for this particular story, and I just madly respect you for it. So just wanted you to know that I'm definitely appreciative, and I can imagine his family is appreciative to have someone of your stature supporting them. So just wanted to say that.
Can I make a quick statement? Sarah, I just want to say you have a very good heart. After hearing your story there, you have a very good heart.
Thanks, Truth. We had an American Inquisitor had his hand up. And then Jeff McBride came up. I don't know if he had a question, but he's got an American Inquisitor.
But after him.
I do, yeah. One, thank you for the space, first and foremost. So my question assumes, Sarah, that you have spoken with lawyers familiar with or even specializing in Texas self-defense law. So based on that, do they think that the defense will be able to provide or be able to show that deadly force was reasonably necessary versus like an unlawful escalation? Like what are other lawyers familiar with the case and the evidence that has been released saying?
I'm sorry, one moment. Sorry, he wanted cereal, then he wanted milk, then he wanted no milk. So give me just a second. I'm so sorry.
You may or may not have to repeat yourself when she comes back.
Yeah, I've got kids. I understand completely.
I swear I should have set up some waiting music.
Yeah, play the Jeopardy music when this happens.
Land ready.
Just don't let him get up and
knock on my door.
No, we're not doing that.
Oh.
No.
No, it's not that type of space.
What?
Not you.
I like that.
Okay.
Music.
All right, she's back.
Hold on a minute.
Sippy, you got the stream going?
Yeah.
We
On
definitely
X-
should just
X
start playing.
and Rumble.
Yeah, X, Twitch, Rumble, and YouTube.
Oh,
Nice.
and YouTube.
Yep. At JinxedSip. If anybody wants to see, I don't know, it's really nothing right now, but I was going through all the links and everything.
Cool.
Okay. I'm trying to remember your whole question. I've heard a lot of lawyers and attorneys weigh in on this. I do wish actually CJ was here because I'm not an attorney. Okay. I don't study law and I report. I've heard a lot of mixed things coming from different attorneys. For the most part, I'm hearing that it's going to be extremely difficult, including from at one point, Greg Willis, I believe, did give multiple statements to media before the gag order and protective order, said that it would be an uphill battle for them to be able to prove self-defense. Just because a lot of this has to do with provocation and what's the other word? Like the balanced proportionate force. Basically, the fact that Austin was not armed. And it's crazy because I've heard some of the advocates say, oh, well, he actually knew jujitsu. I'm like, that doesn't matter if he knew jujitsu or not. This incident itself happened within seconds. A lot of people think there was a long argument, that it was a fight. It wasn't. This happened so fast that people didn't even understand what was happening. Like, some people didn't even understand that Austin had been stabbed in the heart, and they didn't realize until afterwards when he was telling people to go for help. So I think that the defense is going to have a very, very hard time proving that this was proportionate, that he was legally able to defend himself by stabbing Austin Metcalf and ultimately taking his life.
With an illegal weapon on school grounds.
Right. So criminally, from what I understand, and this is alleged, was from me talking to attorneys, actually, legally, because the knife allegedly was under 5.5 inches, it is not illegal to have the knife. But it was against school policy, at the risk of expulsion, to bring it onto school grounds. So he absolutely was not supposed to have the knife. Legally, I don't know, because from what I understand, the knife was under 5.5 inches, the blade was under 5.5 inches. But it was definitely against school policy. And that alone could have caused expulsion. But then he also used it to take someone's life. So I hope that answers your question. I don't know. I'm not an attorney, so it's hard for me to answer a question with a lot
Just
of
based on what other people have said.
Yeah, I have to answer based on what I've been told, based on my own research as a non-law student and just as a reporter, focusing on what people have told me.
Yeah, that was the crux of my question, is based on what others had told you because you're conducting the interview. So thank you.
Jeff.
Hey guys, thanks for letting me talk as well. Thanks for the work you've done, Sarah. He kind of asked the question I was going to ask, if you will. I do want to read you one quick thing here. I've been doing a lot of research into this myself, just independently. And where is it? I've got it right. Hold on. I just said it. Oh, wait a minute. Show more. Oh, yeah. Now, this is from, what's the date on this? This is from April the 3rd of 2025. Attorney Mike Howard told WFAA that a claim of self-defense will be difficult to make given that the victim was unarmed. He also said that prosecutors will likely argue that Anthony provoked Metcalf. A person claiming self-defense cannot provoke the incident and then claim self-defense when they act, Howard said.
I'm actually glad you raised that. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, because my question was, to listening to all of this, and I'm in a couple of...
He was trying to force him out of the tent, but no matter which way you look at it, from just a common sense standpoint, I don't know at one point it was ever justified to take a knife and plunge it into Austin's heart. I just don't know.
Yeah. You brought up, and then that's the point: is that is a stab proportional to a shove, and it's not. I don't care how big the guy is. If someone shoves you, I mean, you might be scared, but I don't think you're going to fear for your life just because they shoved you. So, I do have one other question, real quick, while I think about it. I literally live 5 minutes from the courthouse. I live in Melissa, so I'm just literally 5 minutes north of the courthouse. And I was thinking about going out there, just outside. Obviously, I can't go in, just to watch what goes on. What do you think is going to happen outside?
I think it's going to be a clown show. Personally.
I think so too.
I think it's going to be crazy. I think that there's going to be all the Kamelo supporters. I think that eventually, I don't know if Jake Lang is in jail right now. I think he is. I don't know. I do think that Jake Lang is going to end up showing his face. I want nothing to do with him. And if you listen to this space, please understand, I want you very far away from me. Do not come anywhere near me. I don't want any of these people, honestly, to come anywhere near me.
Gotcha.
But I do think it's going to be a clown show. I think that if you're going to go, it is best to avoid these people altogether. The doors to the courthouse, let's see, there is an 11 p.m. to 6 a.m. curfew. So at 6 a.m. you can be on court property. There is a map. I don't know if I've shared that yet. I can share it in the purple pill in a minute once I go find it. But there is a map that basically shows the restricted areas around the courthouse. Basically, the green area, which is the parking lot in the very front, and the entrance is where we are allowed to be. The red restricted area behind the courthouse is for the family. So that will be completely secured for both families. The doors, I believe people are going to start lining up probably close to 6 or 7 a.m. because that's when the curfew is lifted. The doors are going to open at 8:30. 8:30 to 8:40 is when media will be brought in. 8:40 to 8:50 is when the family will be brought in. 8:50 to 9 a.m. is when the public will be allowed. The information officer has told me that the public will have a few dozen seats. And that's basically it. So we will see, we'll see what happens. Yeah, we'll see what happens at trial. I suggest not bothering with anybody around you and just focusing on where you want to be, and that's it.
Yeah, that was my goal was not to interact with people necessarily. I just wanted to go up there and for lack of better words, be an independent journalist outside the courthouse and just record everything. Just stand back and watch. I mean, because I don't. A lot of people are talking about how this is a big deal, like everybody knows about it. But whenever I quiz people, and obviously I live here in DFW, most of the people that I talk to don't know about the case. I haven't really seen it reported much on national TV, but then again, I don't watch national TV, so. But I don't see it much online other than people that are in groups that are specific to this. So I don't think there's going to be like George Floyd riot kind of thing.
No, I don't think so either. I think it's going to be very localized. The mainstream media has definitely picked it up a little bit, but that's just because the trial is getting closer.
Right.
So they've definitely picked it up a little bit recently. But no, I don't expect this to be. Hold on. So sorry. Anyway, I don't think this is going to be a nationwide thing. At least I hope it doesn't turn into that. If you want to go up there and record, I mean, I don't see anything wrong with that. I just wouldn't interact with these people because some of them are crazy. Just remember, one thing I did not bring up is that there is a man spending 10 years in prison for stalking and harassing me and my family just because he thought that he was standing in the gap for the Anthony family in this case. So these people, some of these people are absolutely crazy. So I wouldn't interact. I would, if you're going to go video, I would stay a few feet away.
All right. Great. Thanks for the info.
Reliable connection all summer long. CableX broadband. Visit cablex.com/summer26.
We had another guy up here, Josh. He left. So, did anybody else want to come up and anybody have any questions? Well, she's still got it open.
I'm surprised there hasn't been a lot of op people besides Peace Almighty, who seems to pop up everywhere.
That's probably the 20 anonymous listeners.
Oh, that makes sense. Okay. So they don't want to talk. They just want to listen. I got it.
I'm sure they were looking for gotchas.
Yeah.
They're screen recording, but joke's on them because the space is recorded.
Yeah, space is recorded. So you can go back and listen to it anytime you want. Everything I've said has been factually supported with documentation. So good luck with your gotchas. I'm here all day. you can message me and ask me questions instead of, listening and then turning it into content later as a way of, bashing Sarah instead of just having a conversation. I prefer having.
Karen has a question. So this is Karen Williams. She asks, is the overflow area not true?
What do you mean? You mean is there an overflow
I'm
area?
guessing I'm going to guess during the trial.
I have been told that there is an overflow area. How it is going to be used and utilized, I'm not 100%, but I have been told by Collin County Courthouse that there is an overflow room.
Okay, and Josh left his question. He said, any insight into what you anticipate from Judge Roach during the trial? He seems to be a no-nonsense judge with the pretrial actions. Any thoughts from you or your co-hosts or what can be expected?
Yes, Judge Roach is a Republican conservative, no-nonsense judge. He is actually very harsh when it comes to the harm of children. I've actually shared some past cases. If you go look at my X account and just search the name Roach, I've written about him a couple of times and a couple times about his past cases. I think that he will be a fair judge. He is a very much a no-nonsense judge, hence the reason for all these restrictions. He will not have it. He will not have his courtroom turned into a clown show. He wants nothing to do with any of the craziness. He won't. He will not tolerate any form of craziness. If you go look at the restrictions, it even talks about facial expressions. Like there's not going to be any sitting there making crazy facial expressions as witnesses talk or anything like that. He has made it very clear that he will throw you out. So I like Judge Roach based on his past. I like him. So
since the question was for us too, I'm going to say at least one person is going to be held in contempt because he, like you said, is a no-nonsense judge, and I'm looking forward to that.
yeah, I have a feeling something will happen. I almost guarantee it. The way these people behave, something will probably happen.
Truth.
Yep. I just want to ask, how do you mentally do it? How do you mentally deal with all this drama, these death threats, etc., and still go out through your day? Raise the family and all that. It's insane.
How does Jeff and Megan? I mean, can you imagine being swatted 6 times after your son was just murdered? I mean,
I can't.
I can't. It tears me up inside. It rips me apart. I have a teenage son, and every time I look at him now, lots of times I will think about what the Metcalf family has been through, and it tears me up. I don't know how they get through it, and I know that they have their very bad days. They're very, very, very difficult nights. I have had my own bad days, I'll be honest. And there were times during this, especially when I was pregnant, where I was like, okay, I just want to walk away from this entirely. But at this point, I don't feel like I can because I've gotten so embedded into this. And Jeff has told me that he relies on me to be a voice for his family at this point. And how do you walk away from that? You can't. You just can't. And so you rely on God for strength and to just help you through it. And without God, I could not have done this. Without God, Jeff absolutely would have. Jeff has already stated, and he's actually said this to the media, that if it wasn't for God, he wouldn't be here. So that's not a private word. That is, he literally told the media, if it wasn't for God, he would not be here. Jeff would be gone. Jeff would, So he relies on God to just help him keep his sanity. Megan, same thing. Megan deals with grief differently than Jeff. But without God, I don't know how these people have been able to get through what they've been through. I pray for Hunter too. Hunter has his own struggles. Hunter was accepted to college. I won't say where. The family is very proud of him. Yeah. And so hopefully when this is all over, he can head off to college and try to put that part of Texas behind him.
Well, you got a few more days, I guess, right? When does it start?
I will be, Monday. June 1st is when it starts. Right now, as the schedule stands, opening arguments are supposed to be on June 4th. Right now, as it stands. I don't know if that's going to change. I don't know if they're going to switch that up. They might. Because initially, this is already public info, so that's why I can say it now. But initially, that information was actually not supposed to be out to the public. They were trying to be a little bit more secretive about the schedule, unfortunately, and that schedule got out. And as of now, that schedule says that opening arguments are on the 4th. If it changes, I will let people know. I plan on reporting on this as much as I possibly can and get as much info to the public as I possibly can without making Judge Roach angry. So as much as he allows in his amended order, I'm going to report to the public as much as I can.
Well, cool. I look forward to this being over with. I'm sure you do too.
Yes. I can't wait. I can't wait for this to be over and on the other side. And, we have plans, the 13th, 14th is, the 11th, 12th, 13th, 14th is state convention. Hopefully, if the trial is over before then, I can head to state convention and we can get some of these resolutions through to make sure pedophiles can't view footage. Okay, I'll get you some in just a minute. View footage and to make sure that governmental immunity is taken away from public schools so that schools can actually be held liable for lawsuits. That's something we've touched on a few other times in spaces. But then Jeff wants to, he wants to work with laws, legislation. He wants to write a book. There's a lot of plans. So hopefully we can get to that point. I just want to get the trial over with because it is a huge source of anxiety for everybody right now, I think. So, I think this was a good space. I hope it was informative for everybody. If anybody else has a question, it doesn't look like there's anybody else who has any questions. If you do have any other questions, make sure, put it in the purple pill, as in comment underneath the space, and then I will try to respond to you with my answer. If I can. This space, and then I will try to respond to you with my answer if I can. So should we end here?
We can. I just want to say we've gotten this question quite a few times for anybody that's listening. This space was recorded. It's not going to be deleted. You guys could go back and listen to it at the very beginning, listen to it all the way through. You can send it to your friends that also want to listen to it. That way you guys don't have to keep asking that one.
I don't want Snickers. Okay, you'll do mint ice cream. Okay, also, please make sure that you are following. Next time. Okay, baby. Please make sure that you're following the speakers. Please make sure. Hold on one sec. I'm so sorry. One moment. Do you want mint ice cream? Yep. Okay. And please make sure you follow the speakers. Please make sure you follow my co-hosts, Lone and Southern. They are a part of my investigative team. I don't know how I could have honestly gotten through some of this without them. Because this has been really difficult. Not the space, I mean just the whole thing in general. Make sure you're following Sippy Cup. Sippy Cup was very helpful, and Sippy and Jinx have a podcast. Sippy, can you give a quick 30-second rundown of your stream, please?
Yeah, we're streaming right now, actually. So not only is the space recorded, there's streams everywhere. It's called the JinxedSip podcast, I guess you would call it. We basically just hang out Wednesdays at 9 p.m. Eastern, since everybody likes Eastern time.
Sippy's really bad with time zones. Don't make him do math.
Yeah.
That's correct. 9 p.m. Eastern.
Yep. 9 p.m. Eastern, Wednesdays and Sundays. Wednesdays are more topical. Sundays are kind of just, whatever. We do spaces for audio, and we stream to YouTube, Twitch, Rumble, and X. Tonight we're actually streaming to both X accounts, mine and Jinx's X account, and all the other accounts. So fun.
Awesome. Okay, so I guess we'll end it here. I need to get some rest. Southern and Lone, Southern, are you going to go hold your space after this?
Ask Wolf. Oh, no.
No?
Well, one of us maybe. We might.
Okay.
I'll talk to her right
right.
after the space. And
All right. Don't know
Exciting.
yet. Follow them, find out. But every night, Southern and Lone host a space called Everything and Nothing. Sometimes I'm on there. Lately, I've been on there a little bit more often. I try to join when I can. And that starts at 9, right? 9
10 p.m. Eastern.
10 p.m.
Yeah.
Eastern. Sorry. I'm used to
normal time.
See, Central Time to me is normal time.
Yeah,
But
they don't
okay,
like
9
God's
p.m. for
time.
me, 10 p.m. for you. And I just want to thank everybody so much for joining. I'm sorry if I missed anything. Again, my DMs are open. You can comment if you have any questions, and I will try to answer you. And thank you, everybody. This was a great space. Thank you for everyone who came through. Also, remember, it is recorded, and you can go back and listen to it anytime you want. We will leave it up. It will not be deleted. Thank you, everybody, so much for coming, and everybody have a good night.
You too.
Night, everybody.
Thank you.
Good night.
Sorry, I had it queued up. I had to play it.
That was wonderful.
I love it.